You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
We're now joined with Fiona Trigwell, and we're going to be talking all about the Paul Trigwell Island Run and the Paul Trigwell Memorial Fund as well. Fiona, firstly, welcome along to the show. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I'm delighted to be here.
So, why the Paul Trigwell Island Memorial Fund was set up?
The Paul Trigwell Memorial Fund was set up after the death of my husband. Paul had taught on the island since 1975, and he died suddenly of a stroke in September 2006. And for 18 of those years, he'd been a head teacher on the island. And when he died, within about 3 weeks of his death, we had in donations thousands of pounds. I think 3 weeks, as I say, after his death, we had approximately £6,000, which we had said would be donated to children's charities. As a family, we sat down on several occasions to try and work out either which one charity or several of these charities we were going to donate the money to. And everything myself and the boys came up with, our daughter Bethan kept saying no, she didn't want it to go to these charities. And some of them were absolutely excellent charities that I would have been more than happy to donate the money to. And in the end, we actually got quite exasperated with her. And I said to her one day, you know, Bethan, this money needs to go to children, and we have to make a decision on which charity we're going to give it to. And she just turned around to me and she said, Mum, why are we giving it to charities that had nothing to do with Dad? Why can't we just give it to island children? Because they're the ones we've been brought up with. And she actually said, they're the ones that Dad's been banging on about all of his life. Why can't we just give it to them? So that set the idea. I got a group of people together to explore the options that we'd got. And in August 2007, we were actually registered as a charity. And the aim of the charity is actually to promote the emotional health and well-being of island children and to support their education. And it's aimed at any child or young person who's resident on the island between the ages of 4 and 18.
Fiona, what is the money that is raised spent on?
Well, I've got a long list. In fact, it's a very long list of all sorts of different things that the money is spent on. I can only mention some of them this evening because, as you can imagine, talking about money is a very sensitive area. Yeah. And so we do keep an awful lot of the monies that we do send out confidential to my board of trustees. But just to give you an idea, we do help local talent. If any parents out there have got young children that have got particular talents, you'll know how expensive it is to actually provide either music, art lessons, art equipment, musical instruments, even down to swimming lessons. So what we've done is we've provided support in that area. We have bought art equipment. We've supported someone in a foundation year before university. We've paid for music lessons. We've bought musical instruments. On to other things. We've sent children on day trips and residential. Some of those children have never been away on holiday before. What we've done quite a lot of is actually provide the transport cost for parents whose children suddenly become ill and they find that the children are in one of the London hospitals, or even just as far as Medway Hospital. Because if you're suddenly having to find public transport costs to get to visit your own children in hospital, that actually is a huge drain on resources. So we've helped out there. We've bought warm clothing, and you might say to me, well, you know, why in modern Britain are we actually having to buy warm clothing? And the honest answer is it is very often not provided for children. One particular story I can tell you, it was a winter about 4 years ago, very, very cold. One 11-year-old girl actually was coming to school every day. She got a very thin jacket on. She got no warm jumper. She got no scarf, gloves. And it got to the point where in the end I intervened and phoned home. She hadn't got that warm clothing, so we provided her with it. And I walked into my classroom one day to find her curled up in her new hat, gloves, coat and scarf, and also a new warm jumper by the radiator, fast asleep, because it was the first time, you know, that she'd really been warm that winter. We've put breakfast clubs into primary schools. We've put Healthy Tuck at break time also into primary schools. We've also helped clubs. Sometimes the rising cost of rent means that clubs have found it very, very difficult to stay afloat, so we've supported there. We've supported with things like Duke of Edinburgh and various competitions that children go off to, and obviously, provided the cost of transport for those to get to those events. And obviously, a lot of other things that I really, can't mention because it's so sensitive on air.
How is the money raised, Fiona?
Lots again of different events. We have a lot of children who've actually done individual events, so they've done individual sponsored walks, they've done bike rides. We've also had the local Rotary helping out. They've also done the island walk and donated money. We've put jars into pubs across the island. They've also been very supportive and raised a lot of money for us. We've actually had donations given to us from people who have had milestone birthdays and have actually asked for money that's going to be donated to Paul's Memorial Fund rather than receive presents. We've had bequests, but our main event, our main fundraising event of the year is the Paul Trigwell Island Run.
We are this evening talking, of course, all about the Paul Trigwell Island Run and the Paul Trigwell Memorial Fund right here at BRFM 95.6 this evening. And we're talking all about the Paul Trigwell Island Run and the Paul Trigwell Memorial Fund this evening. Fiona, what is the theme, and can you tell us more about the run as well?
Yes, I'd love to tell you more about the run. Again, with setting up a charity, what you need to do is raise money, and as I've just said, the Island Run is our main fundraising event of the year. I think the paper describes it as one of the largest fundraising events on the island, which is absolutely fantastic. The idea came, first of all, from a friend. For those of you that have been resident on the island for a number of years, you might remember the original Island Run. Paul used to take part in that. He took part as a 10-mile runner, and then he took part with the boys when they were younger. And the idea came from a friend, why not resurrect it? I think the last Island Run had been towards the end of the 1990s. And with that idea, we went forward and actually resurrected it and set it up. It runs virtually the same course. There is a slight variation in the old run, and we have a variety of events that you can take part in. You can take part as a serious runner or as a fun runner, and you can walk as well. The 2-mile fun run along the seafront is literally just that. We do have serious runners take part in that one, and we do have trophies for a whole variety of age groups again, but it is mainly a fun run, and what it's turned into over years is an event that families can come out and enjoy together, which is absolutely fantastic to see. We also have the 10-mile run. Again, you can take part in that as a serious runner, or you can treat it more as a fun event. And there's the 10-mile walk, which we introduced new 3 years ago now, and we have a lot of people gaining more and more interest in the 10-mile walk. Again, the 10-mile walk follows the same course as the 10-mile run. Each year my daughter chooses a theme, and this year we've gone very topical because the theme is the Olympics, Nations of the World. And if you want to take part, if you haven't already filled an entry form in, I should be giving you some details about that shortly.
Well, I was going to ask that. Where can you get the entry form from, Fiona?
Well, probably the easiest thing to do is to go on our website, which is www.ptir.org.uk. That will give you, it'll answer you all sorts of questions. You can download forms. This year, for the first time, you can also apply online. And if you go onto that website, you can also find a lot more information about the Memorial Fund. So that's one of the ways that you can get an entry form. Another is if you go into either reception of the academy, the sites, the east or west sites, they're in reception there and can be picked up. Or the other thing you can do is you can phone and we can put you one in the post. So the phone number for that is 07805 803379.
can you enter on the day?
You can enter on the day. It's much easier to enter on the day if you're over 18 years old, because we do need a parent's signature on the form.
Right.
So under 18, you'd need to bring a responsible adult along with you so that they can sign the entry form at the registration point. So I say it's much, much easier if you can register beforehand, certainly if you're under 18 years of age.
So where and when is the award ceremony?
We're holding the awards ceremony this year on the Academy West site, which many people know as the old Cheney building.
Yep.
It's the one in Jefferson Road in Sheerness. It's on Friday the 22nd of June at 7 o'clock.
Now, before you go, Fiona, I was just wondering if you could refresh our listeners about the run and when and where it is, and also go over some of those useful contact details for us as well.
I certainly can. The run this year is taking place a week on Sunday. That's Sunday, May the 13th. There are a variety of different times that I can go through now for the different events. So the 2 mile event starts by the Beach Hotel. It starts at 10:30, but I would advise people to be there by 10 o'clock. The 10 mile walk is actually an early start. That is 8:30. So again, I would advise people to be there by 8 o'clock. And the 10 mile run is a 10 o'clock start, and I would advise people to be there by 9:30. All this information is on the website, which is www.ptir.org.uk. Again, if you haven't got access to the website, you can go into either of the Academy receptions and they'll give you an entry form. And finally, if you'd like the number again for any more details, it's 07805 803379.
Fiona, I'd like to thank you very much for coming along and telling our listeners all about the Paul Trigwell Island Run and Memorial Fund this evening.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to have been here.